All right, guys, welcome back to the Hip Hop Vibe. This is our second episode. Again, I'm Dillo Pillow.
And I'm SK. And on a previous episode, we at the end we said that we would be doing this episode about Makami, but we decided to actually do this one about Juice World and his legacy, his like rise, all that good stuff. So to start it off, we just wanted to talk about like his come up really and how he started off his career. Um, So he was sort of after the big like SoundCloud era. I mean, he was like a part of it towards the end,
Yeah,
but most people really wouldn't consider him a part of the whole movement. But he debuted with his EP called Juiced Up the EP in 20 early 2016 under the name Juice the Kid, and that was like his first project that he ever released. Have you ever heard it, or do you have any thoughts on that project?
I've heard it a few times, but I don't necessarily remember it as much as most of his other stuff. But I remember that was like when he was coming up on SoundCloud, like you said, that was after kind of the SoundCloud era, but still kind of a part of it because obviously that's how he blew up.
Hmm.
And yeah, some of my friends like found him through that EP, and I think it's great to see that nowadays I don't think many artists get found through SoundCloud, so it's definitely a quick switch to, but it wasn't even that long ago, really.
Hmm. Yeah, just like what, 5 years ago now. And yeah, I think that's like obviously when you started to like get some attention, nothing really huge, but that's one of the songs on that EP. It's called Whoa. That's one of the first songs I ever heard by him. Um that was I think early 2017, so like a good year after that EP came out. Um but yeah, it's only 5 tracks. It's nothing special really. It's just really it's like not I don't know what to really say about it because it's like there's not much to it
Yeah, he
and
hadn't really
like
found his sound yet. I think he was just
yeah,
trying some stuff out.
yeah, exactly. It was just like super rough and not tuned, but that's what it's like expected from an artist's like first project, and he didn't really have any help. It was just all by himself. So
Yeah,
consider if you consider all that, I mean it's not that a terrible debut, but yeah, it has like a few good songs that I listen to regularly.
yeah, definitely a decent start. And what was the second EP called again?
And the second EP is the 999 EP, and it's probably my favorite EP of all time. It's like that jump he made from his 2016 EP in just a year to the 999 EP is like insane. Like from quality to like how it sounded. He really found like his niche with like the singing type like hip hop like blend
Mm-hmm.
thing, you know? And like he was like really good with his melodies. The production was dope, and like that's when he started working with Nick Mira and Side Piece,
Right.
and they're like they've been big collaborators like throughout his entire career. What do you think about that EP?
I mean, yeah, that was definitely that one had Lucid Dreams on it, correct?
Yeah, originally, and then they moved it on to the album, but
Right.
like
Yeah.
that was like his big single.
Okay. Yeah. I think I remember. I guess I was a senior in high school at the time when that maybe a junior. Yeah, I think junior. And my friends like showed me that track, Lucid Dreams, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, how is this on SoundCloud? Like, I've never heard anything that
Right.
good before. So, like, I wasn't even
Hmm.
someone who listened to stuff on SoundCloud that much, but like, I would go out of my way to listen to that song on repeat. Like, that was just, I've never really heard someone make that much quality so quickly in their career and like make a whole new lane. Cause like the emo rap thing like existed, but it wasn't really getting big at all. It was just starting. So for him to have that much presence in it that early, that was crazy.
Yeah, definitely. And Moonlight is and also another big track that was on the EP, and that was the actual first song that I heard from Juice. Um, I remember I was listening to something on SoundCloud one night, and you know the SoundCloud like shuffle
Mhm.
thing, and it just plays some random music.
Yeah.
That's when I heard that, and I was just shocked. I was like, "Holy shit, what is this?
Yeah.
Why does this sound so good?" So that's when I saw that it was a part of an EP. I gave it a listen. It was amazing, and like that was like my reaction with Lucid Dreams too. I was like I've never heard anyone do this, and I've never even heard of this kid before. And this sounds like a song that's gonna be like one of the biggest. And well, you know what happened with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just the overall quality of that EP compared to his first one, and the fact that it was only a year after, like that just surprised me of how much he improved in just a short time.
Yeah, he was so young too. I can't even remember how old he was. He probably like 18 when that came out. So,
Yeah, I think he was 18, 18, 19, something like that.
yeah, and I remember like seeing videos of him in like high school and like he was just
Yep,
like a goofy kid and to think that
yep.
that happened so quickly is like that is pretty crazy.
Yeah, he had like a similar like story in high school to like a lot of people who came up like um when they were in high school. It was like he used to get made fun of for his music, and like no one really supported him like that. Or I mean, obviously he had a circle, but you know how that goes. Doing anything out of the ordinary in high school, you're gonna get shit for it,
Right.
and like that's what happened with him. But he never really let that get to him. He just like kept going, doing what he loved to do, make like writing songs, making melodies, like singing his stories, and like he was like unfortunately like really like troubled too, like when it comes to like mental health and it's all that stuff. So like writing music was his like biggest outlet.
Right.
Like it was a way for him to vent, and he did that to like the whole world,
Hmm.
which like when anyone like can really like be vulnerable in their music, it's super impressive to me. But yeah, I think that was just like writing music was like something like an escape for him, and it was like his like safe space in the studio. And people really related to what he had to say and his story, and I mean that's like the main reason he was as successful as he was.
Yeah, definitely. And on that EP, you could start to hear some of his influences, like we were talking about before we started. It's like, Blink 182 is one that, started to influence the sound, which became way bigger after he did that. It's crazy to
Yeah,
see because, I knew Blink 182 when I was younger because they were very popular. And to hear that sound come back around was not something I really expected. But I mean, it makes a lot of sense, it fusing that with like rap and the way that he did it and performed it, like, that's really cool for sure.
yeah, definitely. And like I think Blink 182 was like his favorite band ever since he was a kid because his mom really never let him get into hip hop that much because then she was trying to be protective of her son. But also, if we're talking about musical influence, you can really see what Kid Cudi and Kanye West did for him. Um, like when it comes to sort of that like pop, like singy type, like hip hop, like with the melodies and all that type of stuff, you can really see like he took a lot of inspiration from them too. And he talked about it one time on in an interview, but he mentioned that 808s and Heartbreak by Kanye was like one of like his biggest inspirations like ever. And he always, I think I can't remember the exact quote, but he said something along the lines of, um, "I walk around carrying this like album like a chip on my shoulder," something like that. So like yeah, that really defined um his career as well, which it did for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's interesting. But I mean, like, yeah, 808s and Man on the Moon were definitely some very influential albums for this generation of artists that's coming up now and stuff like that. So, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, especially hearing what he's singing about on his
Mhm.
tracks. Like, yeah, that would definitely be a big point of emphasis for him, like when he was growing up. But yeah, and moving on to like when he started to get more attention, like obviously some people were listening to him on SoundCloud, but that's not going to get you like mainstream attention because there's just not a lot of people who do that. But when he started to work with Lyrical Lemonade and put out a music video for Lucid Dreams, I think that was a point where it really took off for him because like Lyrical Lemonade was also on the rise at the time. They had a large audience, and yeah, to put him on that spotlight, that was huge.
Right. Um, yeah, it was like I think Lucid Dreams and All Girls were the same are the same like were some of the biggest songs to ever like gain traction on SoundCloud. I'm not sure like exactly where it would rank in like the list, but it was gaining so much traction. I think that's how Cole Bennett found him. and then like they like linked up, they talked through it, and then Cole Bennett at the time, like yeah, as you said, he was like just starting his whole thing, and but he's been successful like at that point too.
Right.
He would put on like he'd been working with like Lil Pump and Ski Mask, I think, at that time. So yeah, that video for Lucid Dreams, even before it was on streaming, it just like did wonders for Juice's career. I think that was like the moment where like he really broke into the mainstream, and like the rest is history.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. Like, he literally was so popular before he hit streaming. I don't think I've ever heard of an artist do that to that
Yeah.
scale. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
actually insane because like I feel like Lucid Dreams is one of maybe Lyrical Lemonade's most viewed videos still, and like
Mm-hmm.
they've grown since then. So to think like the amount of audience he had a couple years ago, like that was crazy because I don't know. I didn't think that people would gravitate that much to someone that they couldn't listen to like regularly on like Spotify or Apple, but he must have been just that special, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's like the main part about this is how catchy that song is. Like, I don't know, there's just something about it. It just gets stuck in your head, and that's what happened to me when I first heard it. I couldn't like stop listening to it. Um, but yeah, I really like I still don't understand how this a song on SoundCloud gained that much traction to the point where like even before it was on streaming, it was like a huge hit song, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't think we've ever seen that. I don't think we ever will see that ever again.
Yeah, I don't even remember if it was like cleared to play on the radio or not. I don't even know if it was on there or not, but I think just social media helped carry it for the most part.
Yeah. And well, that also came with like sort of one bad thing. Like, you know how he got caught up in the lawsuit because of the instrumental, lost a bunch of money from like what he made from that song. Because like the lawsuit, I think I'm pretty sure it was like the original artist wanted Juice to sell him the rights or something like that.
Mhm.
I don't think he ended up doing it, so he just got a portion of all profits.
Mm.
Which obviously like is unfortunate, but I don't think at the time where he posted that song he even thought about like
Right.
copyright consequence and all that. He just like made a song for fun and then it just blew up. But I don't really think that hurt him that much in the grand scheme of things.
No, I don't think so either. I think I remember hearing about that now, but yeah, I mean, like you said, sometimes an artist will just make something like that and put it out, not even thinking that they're going to ever get to the point where it's going to be a problem. So, yeah, I'm sure that, was something he figured out later on. But
Hmm.
yeah, so when he made the transition to streaming, he didn't actually release his first album on streaming wasn't actually his own. It was a collab album with Future. World on Drugs was the first one to hit streaming, I believe. Um,
No, I'm pretty sure Goodbye and Good Riddance came out a few months before.
Let me just double
Or
check. I
do I
don't know.
have the dates wrong?
It was a weird time period, so I'm not 100% sure. It looks like it looks like World on Drugs did hit streaming first.
Really?
Yeah, in October of 2018, and then Goodbyes and Good Riddance hit in December of 2018. So I think that's pretty interesting. I'm not 100% sure if that was like a deluxe or something that came out later, and maybe they updated the release date.
Uh,
But
Actually, I just looked it up. Goodbye Good Riddance actually came out in May.
oh, okay, it must
Cause
have been.
I remember I remember posting with the anniversary like a few weeks ago. But I mean, yeah, like the timings are kind of off. I mean, it's like cool to see how they came out like very like close to each other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that was like his first thing, and that was like just like trailing off the hype of Lucid Dreams and All Girls Are the Same. I think he really needed to capitalize on that hype. So they put out this project. I didn't think they had no promo for it whatsoever. I think they just made a quick post like right before it dropped. And I know that because I remember that night I was just laying in bed and just scrolling through Instagram. I seen a post saying like, "Oh, album's out," and I was geeking. I like opened Snapchat, texted my like group chat. And I was like, "Yo, like Juice WRLD just dropped an album," and then we all listened to it, and we're just like, I don't know. I still remember that night. It was yesterday. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's a great album, really. I think it probably went down as his best to me. Just when that first came out, I didn't expect it to have as many good songs as it did, but they
Hmm.
really all came together very well. Um, did they release Wasted as a single for that? They might have.
Yeah, I think Wasted it actually came out after
Oh, okay.
the album, but then they just threw it onto the album as like a different mix, I think. Because I remember when Wasted came out too. It was I think it was like a month or two after, something like that, or maybe even sooner. But yeah,
Yeah.
he got a big name feature because Uzi's been big ever since 2016,
That
and
might have been Uzi's peak, honestly, because that was probably right after Love Is Rage.
yeah, I
Or,
think that was like the biggest he's ever been. I mean, he still is big to this day, but like to think that some random kid who had this one hit song dropped an album out of nowhere and then got Lil Uzi Vert on a song with him. It's just like this really shows you how fast everything went for Juice, and like and he handled it so well. Like he never like cracked under that pressure. He just like kept going with that momentum, and he just like knew how to capitalize on the hype.
yeah, and it's Goodbyes and Good Riddance. It wasn't like I don't know. There's a lot of good songs in there. I don't know if there was like since some of the songs were recorded before and then some were recorded later, it's not like the most cohesive thing, like straightforward, like story wise or anything like that. But I mean, he went along the same sound for the most part across the whole album, and definitely a lot of tracks that I think like the Juice World fans come back to the most are on there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Like for me, it would be like Candles, Lean with Me, Black and White, I'll Be Fine. It's like a whole album, honestly. It's just like I don't know. It's just like so nostalgic for me. Like now looking back at it, 3 years old.
Yeah,
I don't know, and it came out in a time where like I personally wasn't doing too well, and like that's when like I fell in love with Juice's music. So it was like a sort of like a support system for me in like a way. I don't know. It just really helped me through a lot, and that's what it did for I think almost all of his like really core fans, and that's like the beautiful thing about his music. I think like the biggest impact he ever had was just helping out his fans in a way I don't think he ever thought he could.
yeah. And what's interesting about his fan base as well is like it's a lot of different people. It's not like when he was first coming out. Like I had friends who like didn't even listen to rap. Who were listening to his music and stuff like that. He
Hmm.
became very popular all across like all genres and stuff. And I remember like I was in the car with my friends like one night and we went like bowling and just like riding in the car the song came on and everybody knew every word to Lucid Dreams, and it's just like
Hmm.
that's how impactful he was and everybody knows his
Yeah.
name.
Yep. And that's actually a really interesting like thing to talk about. It's like how diverse his like reach was, you know?
Yeah,
As like as you were saying, like it appealed to more than just a certain demographic. He really like anyone liked his music. Like even my sister who does not listen to rap at all, she listens to it's like Taylor Swift. She likes like some Juice
right.
WRLD songs. So that's like really cool to think about. And that's like a main part of why he's like so successful because like the sound he had, it wasn't just like, it didn't cater towards a certain like fan base
Right.
or a certain like group of music listeners. It was just like something for everyone to enjoy. And yeah, I don't know. It was just crazy seeing just like everyone just come together, like liking his music, like supporting him and all that. Early on, at least,
Yeah, for
before
sure.
like all the disgusting hate came along.
Yeah. So, like we said, briefly after that, came out with Word on Drugs with Future, and
Hmm.
Future was one of his influences. So I think that's really cool to see, especially happening like they put that together pretty quickly,
Hmm.
which was good. And I think there's a lot of good tracks on there. They're not like my favorite Juice World tracks or anything like that, but there's definitely some memorable moments on there. I think like Fine China was a pretty big track, and
Hmm.
what was another one? Hard Work Pays Off was one of my favorites on there too. What are your thoughts on it?
Right. Um, Overall, it's not like the best project ever. Like when I first heard it, I didn't think much of it. Like obviously there was a few songs like Fine China, Astronauts, that kind of stuff. It was good. Like I didn't really think it was anything that could compare to Goodbye and Good Riddance.
Right.
But I think more than just how well it was received, I think the most important part is just how he was able to collab with his biggest influence. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's more what he cared about, and that's why it came out so fast. Um, because like if they really took their time, and like put way more time into this and like released it maybe the next year, I think it could have been much better than it is.
Yeah.
It obviously grew on me over time, but it's an okay project. I don't really have anything. I don't really want to say anything terrible about it because there's
Yeah.
nothing to say, but also it's not like the greatest thing ever. So
Yeah, I'm not
this is
like
like in the middle.
the biggest Future fan. He's kind of a guy who just pumps out projects like
Yeah.
consistently. So it's
Hmm.
kind of like he maybe was like he kind of like called up Juice. He's like, "Yo, let's do this, but I'm gonna record all my verses right now and send them over, and like you could just do whatever." And Juice probably felt
Yeah.
under pressure. He's like very new to it, so
Hmm.
it probably wasn't the best collaboration experience. But I'm
Yeah.
glad it happened though.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't imagine the pressure of like just even being able to talk to someone who inspired me the most and be like, okay, let's work on this project. And the fact that he actually, I mean, this is like super biased, but I think he carried almost every single song on that project.
I mean, I think that's fair
And
to say. Yeah,
yeah, I
like
mean, because like you can tell, because Future's been doing it for way longer than he was at the time. So like, I don't know. I feel like there's like that level of sort of like that level of hard work that either of them put into it. I mean, obviously Future didn't do terrible, but I feel like he didn't take it as seriously as Juice would have. So
yeah, and it wasn't like the greatest blend ever or anything like that. It was just
yeah,
it was them. One of them was kind of at like his best, and the other one was kind of not. So it's like you never really know how it's going to turn out with something like that. But it wasn't that bad or anything like that.
right. And there's just this one part that really bothers me about that whole like experience that they both had. Because I remember Future made a post one day. It was after the album came out, and it was something along the lines of how Juice told him that Future's music is what got him into like drinking lean or something like that.
Mhm.
And Future tweeted about that, and he was like super heartbroken. He's like, "Yo, this is not what I wanted my music to do." Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it was just crazy because like you just really see like how much he was struggling, and then you can see how bad Future felt because that was never what he wanted to do. I think he tried to talk to Juice about that, but I don't know. That was just like that. That's just like one thing that really sticks out to me whenever like I talk about World on Drugs or just even listen to the album.
Mhm.
It's just like I don't know. It just like really bothers me in there.
Yeah, it's kind of like a dark spot on the collaboration. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's move on to the next album. This one, I guess this didn't even come out that long after. It was only like less than a year. Is Death Race for Love since
Hmm.
Goodbyes and Good Riddance. So that one came out pretty quickly. But it
Yeah.
definitely did some big numbers.
Huge. And to me, like as of I think a few months ago, it's been my favorite project by him. Um, in my opinion, it has this like the highs are like incredible on this, except like Goodbye and Good Riddance is more consistent,
Mhm.
which I feel like most people could agree with. And most impressive part is that this whole thing was freestyled and made in like what under a week, I think.
Oh really? I didn't
Yeah,
even know that. So that's
I
pretty
think it
crazy.
was something like 4 or 5 days. That's all it took them to put the thing together.
Wow.
Except maybe a few songs here and there that they recorded before, but yeah,
Yeah. What was the were there any singles for that one? I think I remember one
yeah.
blowing up.
Hear me calling, and there's another one.
Was
Hold
it
on,
Robbery or Feeling?
robbery. Yep,
Okay.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was robbery
Yeah.
because they dropped a whole music video for robbery, and that like blew up
Yeah, that was
huge.
definitely the one that got really, really big.
Yeah,
I know people who still like just listen to that song all the time. That's probably his third third most played song, behind
I
like Lucid Dreams and All Girls Are the Same.
yeah, I think that'd be it would be safe to assume that that's third. It really did big though,
Yeah,
and that was like a perfect single leading up to an album.
yeah, definitely. It's an interesting album. I'm not honestly, it's my least favorite. Not of his just solo albums, but I think it's mostly because like I haven't gotten into it like a ton. I don't know. It just kind of came out very quickly, and I was like, I still have a ton of Juice World music to listen to. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like kind of
Yeah.
getting into that was
Hmm.
harder for me. But yeah, I know a lot of Juice World fans also really really love this one for sure. Like some of my friends from high school like love this project, and I think it also helped expand his fan base more because like having two commercial albums out is just going to be huge
Hmm.
for you, and getting some
Right.
bigger tracks out there. And I think he also started to tour after that album came out. Which
Um, he actually did go on tour for Goodbye and Good Riddance, like before Death Race for Love, because I actually went to one of the shows in 2018.
oh really?
So yeah, he did. It wasn't like a huge like world tour type thing. I think it was just in the US.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he did do a tour before. But I think the Death Race for Love tour was like way on like a much bigger scale
Yeah, I
than
remember just
Goodbye and Good
seeing
Riddance.
people every week like posting pictures like of them
Right.
at his. I'm like,
Yeah.
how many shows this dude have? Like he was
Exactly.
everywhere.
His work ethic was crazy. He just kept doing shows after shows. And I was actually supposed to go to one of the Death Race for Love shows, but it sold out before I was able to get tickets,
Yeah, they
which
were all sold
sucks.
out, all of them. It was
Yeah.
crazy how many people he was pulling in just off that album. Like the hype was
Yeah.
insane.
He really made himself like the biggest artist ever, bro. It's crazy.
He
But
was,
yeah,
yeah.
about the album, for me when I like at first heard it, there were like the highs, like the really like good songs that I still love today. Like they really stood out to me, and I they never left my rotation. Like Feeling, Hear Me Calling, Flaws and Sins, and then Robbery was just a single, all that. Um, and it took time for me to really appreciate the other like deeper cuts on this album, and I think that's why how it like is now my favorite
Mm-hmm.
because before I really didn't appreciate it as much. Um, Also, another big thing, he got a song with Young Thug on there.
Right.
So he goes from Lil Uzi Vert to Future to Young Thug, who were like like the biggest three names in trap at the time.
Yeah.
Even hip hop in general, I'd say.
Right.
Like it's great. He's just pulling out these collaborations. I think everyone wanted to work with him because like they saw how big he was, or and they fuck with his music. So like yeah, no, it was just crazy to see Young Thug on a Juice World album. While like still a relatively new artist, and also Brent Fayez.
Yeah.
But he wasn't really big at all.
Right. He wasn't big
29.
at the time.
I mean he's still he is big now. I mean he wasn't as big back then, but yeah, he got some cool collaborators on there too.
Yeah. I think one with
Uh,
like Clever is an interesting collab
yeah,
too.
yeah, Cleaver on Ring Ring.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that song. I think it's one of the most overhated Juice songs ever because of that Cleaver feature, but I don't know, I love it a lot.
Yeah. He was doing some cool stuff there for sure. But then yeah, I mean, moving past that, like only like 6 months after, was it six? No, like 9 months after he passed away. And it's crazy. But I remember exactly where I was when that happened. It just like
Hmm.
hit me so hard, like something that you never expected to happen. Just getting like the text from my friends like Juice World died. I'm like, what? And like looking
Hmm.
it up and hearing about how it happened is even crazier. You know, and
Right.
it just came out of nowhere. And thinking about all the things that he was saying in his music. It's like maybe I should have seen it coming, but it's really sad. And
Right.
that was tough.
And thing that makes it worse is he released, you know how he released those two singles like Legends and there's another one I can't remember the name, but
Yeah,
one of the bars like
make it past the 20.
make it past 21,
Yeah,
which was it's crazy because that was literally like 5 days after he turned 21. His
right.
birthday is December 3rd and he passed on the 8th. And like, bro, we could really, he really just spoke his, like, he always used to talk about him overdosing, him like passing away. He's always talked about his death. And like everyone knew that he was struggling, right?
Mhm.
But as fans who use his music as like support for themselves, like obviously we cared, and I always had that fear in the back of my mind, like, bro, please, I hope takes care of himself. But like as fans, there's really nothing that we could do, right?
Right.
And his team always tried to help him, like you never. I don't think there's ever been, to my knowledge at least, that no one really let him do what he did. Because even like I think it was last month, his photographer tweeted saying stuff like his pill addiction got really bad, and they would try to just take him on activities like dirt biking and paintball and all that type of stuff just to keep his mind off of it. And then when he would get back into the studio, he would take pills and he would just get in the zone. And also, it came out that he was hiding how much he was taking
Mhm.
from like his people. And his photographer would like he would make sure everything he's taking was clean, right?
Right.
Like there was like really no way to force someone to stop against their own will, but he was making sure he wasn't taking any bad stuff, right? But he was just Juice was like lying to people of how much he was taking. So like when you think about that, you can't really. I mean, it's gonna hurt, but there's like, what can you do in that situation when you don't even know what's going on? And also, he was supposed to go to rehab like soon,
Yeah.
like before he died. I think he was supposed to go sometime during then. So I don't know. It's everything just sucks, man. Like
Yeah, it's really tough to think
addiction.
about, and like, yeah, he was saying it in his music. Obviously, nothing really we could do, and like, I didn't even understand it. It's hard to understand even how like bad it could be, because we don't get to see anything like that. But
Hmm.
it's just crazy how much like addiction has like plagued people, and like, I feel like his death, although like really tragic, has helped kind of bring that to the front of discussion more because like, there's a lot of people who go through that, and like speaking on like him specifically, like he was so young and like he got pushed to the top very quickly. I can't even imagine like what troubles that puts you in, You
Hmm.
have to go, you're on tour all the time, you're trying to record music and stuff like that. So yeah, he probably, got in this mindset that like he needed his pills to like focus or something like that. And
Hmm.
it's just like that much pressure on a young person is so much, and like that probably was a major contributor to what happened to him. And I'm sure like we need to make sure to take care of younger people that are coming up in the same way so that it doesn't happen
Yeah.
again.
I think that's a pretty common theme, like with young stars who are coming to the rise, because just I don't know, handling all that pressure is just super overwhelming, and I couldn't imagine being like the biggest star in the planet at the moment, like the hot new thing,
Right.
like and just like what 2 years, 3 years before he was like in his hometown with his like friends living with his mom, and I don't know, like his whole life changed in such a short time span. And yeah, like you were saying, I think he used like the pills and drugs as like just a way to aid him,
Yeah.
and like I think he felt like he needed it. But yeah, I don't really like to think of him as like sort of a martyr, because that's not what it was. It was
Right.
just like an unfortunate overdose. But if you want to look at like the bright side, yeah, I think a lot more people are starting to like take addiction and mental health more seriously. And I don't know, it's just like even his music in general before he passed, like just like what he was singing and rapping about, it's like really brought attention to like problems that people really don't think about
Yeah.
like usually.
Mhm.
And yeah, I don't know, it's just like this, it's just so sad to see, because even his like presence on social media, he would like the videos he would post on his stories, and like how energetic he would be on stage. Like you would have thought that he was like the happiest person on the planet, and he was. Like I don't doubt he was happy, but also like there's just some demons that just take control of you, and I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's really really tough, and of course we are lucky enough to have gotten a posthumous album from him, which I was mostly recorded and done before a good bit before he died. So I think that that was mostly like his ideas. Like I think he got a lot of his ideas in place on that album. It wasn't just like a bunch of leftovers thrown together or anything like that. But yeah, Legends Never Die came out in July of 2020. So about 6 months after, 6 or 7 months after he died.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think it's important that we got it. I think that's good. But I remember my first listen to that, just hearing everything that he was saying, and like he was really going through it when he was recording that album, and I started crying like hearing that, just thinking about there was so much that like was happening behind the scenes that we didn't really know about, but he was trying to tell us.
Yeah. Um, for me, like yeah, most of the songs on that album were like leaked or unreleased songs that were already out. Well, not officially, so we didn't really get to hear like the full scale before. But yeah, when the album came out, like subject matter wise, it was probably like the darkest, like like I don't know how to describe it, but probably like the darkest stuff he's ever rapped about. And I think that's like when he was like at his most like vulnerable in
Yeah.
these songs. And especially on, oh, forgot what the song. I forgot what the official release is called, but the leak was called Lauren Hill. It's like I can't breathe. I'm waiting for the next. Oh shit! What is the song called?
I'm not sure.
Because I used to listen to this song so much before it came out, and I was super excited when it came out like officially. But Wishing Well. That was the
Oh
official
yeah,
name. But like, yeah, man, listen to that song. It just hurts, you
yeah.
know, because he was literally like, I don't know, his music was like a cry for help.
It really was.
Except like it was like we're just powerless. Like when it comes to that, like what can we do?
Mhm.
Like there's so much that we want to do, but in reality, there's like really nothing we can do to actually help him. So it just like leaves you in that state. It's like, damn, as fans, like, is there anything else we could have done to like help him? But yeah, I don't know. It was just super unfortunate. And
Yeah.
me personally, I loved the album when I first heard it. And I think that's just because that was like the first music we ever heard and since like his passing.
Mhm.
So I was just like super ecstatic to hear this new music. But over time, like the album as a whole has grown off me, but there's still a lot of songs on there I listen to pretty regularly.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I have a hard time coming back to this album because of just hearing all the things that he says and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, as I was listening through like the first time, I knew it was going to be a tough listen. But honestly, when the track that really hit me was like "Life's a Mess." I feel like that was just such a
Hmm.
low point. Hearing him sing like that, and knowing everything was
Yeah.
just kind of in a really bad place, but he was just kind of accepting it. And it was
Hmm.
like that's tough to hear. That's so tough to hear. And yeah, I mean, like you said, like he really poured like his darkest stuff into this album, and
Right.
I still think it's important to be a part of his legacy. You know, people are gonna remember it. I still think it's a pretty good album, but it's definitely tough for me to listen to very often.
Yeah, I think that's the case with most people who like were really big fans pre-death, right? And then like having to go through like all of that and then hearing this, which is basically him telling the world that he needs help, that he's not okay. But then you realize that it's too late. So I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just hard to listen to. And then the lead single for it was Righteous,
right.
which also is like a heartbreaking song, but also one of his best and most important. Um, I had a question to ask you though. What do you like? So, this even happened with the DMX album that came out the other day. How do you feel about having a bunch of features on a posthumous record? Like on this one, there was Trippie Redd, The Kid Laroi, Polo G, Halsey, Marshmallows. The list goes on. So what do you think about that?
Well, I think that he probably wanted to have more features, honestly, because we know that he hadn't worked with a ton of people on the previous albums.
Hmm.
So I think there was
Right.
a degree of that, but I also do feel like some of those tracks, like maybe on like a Life's a Mess remix, like that was like kind of like an afterthought almost to get like
Hmm.
more sales. And like I get, the label is trying to, get sales as well as release their work and try and make it like a cohesive thing, but like
Hmm.
yeah, there are times when I feel like you shouldn't force something just to get it out. But
Yeah.
I feel like in the case of like DMX and like Juice World, some of those collaborations already were planned before they passed, so that but
Yeah. Yeah.
there was also some that were just kind of thrown on there. So it's a tough place to be in.
Yeah. Actually, no. Now that I think about it, I shouldn't have brought up the DMX album because it was basically finished as X was alive. So like that's like really what he wanted. He wanted all those collaborators, and
Hmm.
he used to talk about all those collabs. So yeah, but on Legends Never Die, I didn't really mind hearing the Kid Laroi or even Halsey because they made a song together before this album
Right.
when he was alive. The one thing that really pissed me off, and no hate to him, is when they got The Weeknd on Smile and then
Hmm.
they threw it on the album.
Yeah, that was
That
definitely
was
like a
such
late
a
addition.
obvious money grab, and like it was a leak that fans really wanted to hear for months at that point, and literally they just threw on a feature for money and ruined the song, or in my opinion they completely trashed the song with that. And it still pisses me off to this day because like there's absolutely no other way or other reason why they would be collaborating in the first place. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
it's
fair.
just like I don't know, it's just unfortunate. It's just a part of the music industry, I guess. just happens.
Yeah, and there's been some other releases since then. Like there was a track he did with the Kid Leroy that was basically just like an extra verse, and then they just threw like the Kid Leroy on it. And there's
Hmm.
been some times when it feels like it's been a money grab, which I don't feel comfortable listening to stuff like that because like it's just weird to me. Like as much as I want to hear more from someone like Juice World, it's like you don't have to force it out, you know?
Yeah. And the thing with the Kid Leroy is that they're obviously like on the same label, and Lil Baby is their manager. So like Baby's now trying to push Leroy as his like next star, right?
Right.
And like I sort of have mixed feelings about Leroy because on one hand, I'm not a big fan of his music, but on the other hand, he was like super close with Juice, and
Right.
Juice was basically his apprentice. He
Mhm.
lived with Juice and Ali for what, 7, 8 months, something like that.
Yeah.
So obviously, Juice would want to see this kid succeed beyond what even he did, right? Like
Mhm.
that's clearly what Juice would have wanted. So seeing tracks like this where they just throw Juice WRLD's name on to boost Leroy, I feel it's clearly just to push him, but at the same time, I feel like that's what Juice would have wanted,
Yeah,
like
it's
putting my
tough.
personal opinion aside, like on his music, like dude, that's like your protege, like you want him to, you want to see him succeed. Yeah, I don't know, it's mixed for me. I'm not gonna like go out of my way to hate on Leroy because he was like Juice's apprentice, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think that sometimes gets misconstrued in the public. Like people think that they're just on the same label and that the label's trying to push the Kid Leroy, but they were really close. Like they
Yeah,
definitely
very
were.
close.
So I think people forget that sometimes. I think it's an important aspect to remember because I remember seeing
Hmm.
videos of them having so much fun together, like recording tracks.
Right.
So like they loved what they did. Obviously, Juice influenced his sound and stuff like that. So I don't think at the end of the day it's like a terrible thing if they like put some of their tracks together and stuff like that. But just like
Hmm.
if it's an obvious money grab, that's kind of sad.
Yeah,
You don't want to see that.
yeah. And I don't really know about like what Leroy's intentions are, but I feel like he knows Juice more than honestly anyone. Like
Right,
him and Ali probably know Juice the best, right?
right.
I'm talking about like people in the industry, of course. So if Leroy is not like a scumbag, which I don't want to assume he is, so like I feel like he would at least try his best to honor Juice the best he can, because like
Yeah,
Juice is like a big brother to him, and like obviously like losing him probably is devastating. So I don't think Leroy would want to do anything to tarnish Juice's career either, or to seem like a scumbag. So I feel like I don't know, I have a little bit of faith in him,
yeah,
and I trust Ali as well because she has a say in what happens with his music and all that. So yeah, I mean I'm not all too worried about what they're gonna do with his legacy, but I hope they go in the right direction.
yeah. And there's rumors that there's like another album in existence or something like that. So there might be some other releases over time, but I don't expect much
Hmm.
more to happen. But yeah, I mean, ultimately he's gonna leave behind a pretty big legacy, regardless of whatever gets released still in the future. So, what are your thoughts on like what he did in the short period of time that he was there?
Um, I feel like him and XXX Tentacion both together, like they had sort of like a similar impact,
Mm-hmm.
because they were making like musically it wasn't similar, but like when you speak like looking at it like a from substance wise,
Right.
like right, what they were singing and rapping about was like same topics of mental health, like addiction, like just like not being in a good place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a concept in music for as long as music has been around. But I don't. There's a certain way that those two did it, and let's talk about Juice here. Like, there's a certain way that Juice did it, and at the time he did, there was so many people that like needed it.
Right.
There was so many people like say like my like age group, like so say like high schoolers and even college students and even kids younger. Like, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I feel like this is a time where a lot of people are more open about their mental health and more open about their problems before, like, or more than before. And his music came at a time where like people are like, all right, there's this person that makes amazing music. Whatever he's rapping about, I can relate to, and it feels comforting. And that's what it did for a lot of people and what it did for me. So I think that's the most important part, and even he knew that, and that's why he started that whole 999 movement. It's
Right.
like this, like it's sort of like a brotherhood. Well, I don't like it's sort of like a community,
Yeah.
and he just brought two people together to support each other, and that was like his main goal. Like he even knew that he was helping people with his music, and yeah, that's like the biggest takeaway from his whole career. Like put everything aside, he helped hundreds, even millions of people around the world, and
Yeah.
that
Definitely.
you can't really do anything more than that.
Yeah, I think that's a whole big part of his legacy as well. And sound wise, like in terms of like the music scene, he definitely influenced a lot because like I mentioned at the beginning, like emo rap wasn't really a thing that much. There was definitely some him like Lil Peep as well, just kind of pushing the sound forward. And then once he gets to his death, like I feel like right after that, if he wouldn't have died, it still would have happened. Like there was a boom in this emo rap scene, like the Blink
Hmm.
182 sound, Travis Barker, like all of that coming after him, and it's led into a whole new scene of like the rap scene, and even more like merging into pop as well. Like it's really merged the two and created a whole new subgenre.
Yeah, it definitely created something that is appealing to everyone,
Right.
It's like music for the masses, but it's also good music. And yeah, his influence is like crazy because you nowadays, every time you see like an up and coming rapper or like a SoundCloud rapper, it's usually just like them doing melodies,
Mm-hmm.
melodies as choruses, and then you have their rapping, but it's mostly melodies. And Lil Peep, Juice, and X are fully responsible for this whole entire, or Lil Tracy as well, but this whole entire emo rap scene, and it's just gonna get bigger from here. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like that sound is not going anywhere anytime soon, I think, and
Yeah.
I don't think anyone will ever be able to do it as good as they did. But yeah, I don't know. It's just cool to hear how much all three of them like impacted the music industry in just a few years.
Yeah, and we got to see it happen. Like it's not that often that like rap takes that much of a swing into a different
Hmm.
sound, and it happened quick. Like it was
Yeah.
overnight almost. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
like to see that
Exactly.
happen is great, and just he will forever be remembered for that. He won't ever like be left out of that conversation. Like he's gonna be talked about as one of the influencers, although he may not go down as like one of the greats just because he had such a short career. Like what he did in that time is so important.
Yeah, definitely. Like he made a mark on the world, really. And yeah, like you were saying, I don't know, like everyone just fell in love with that whole like melodic hip hop sound.
Hmm.
And it's not like he was the first person to ever incorporate melodies into hip hop, because you see that with Cudi and Kanye and
Drake
artists way
too.
back, Drake, T-Pain, all that, like even in like the 2000s. But he did it in a certain way, dude. Like he's like incorporated like he incorporated rock, emo rap, hit, like just a pop, a bunch of different stuff meshed together, and it's like everyone got addicted to it. And that's like the big thing, because like everyone's trying to recreate that. I'm not gonna take credit from them, right? I'm not gonna
Right.
say recreate. I'm just gonna say they're taking influence from that. They want to go into that like direction, making like singable rap songs. I
Hmm.
don't know. That's just something I just thought of, but like I guess that's a good way to sum it up, right?
Yeah, it is. It
Like
definitely
it's just
is.
something you can like, I don't know, it's just like the whole thing. It just like happens so fast, like you were saying.
Yeah, and I think it's like I said, he'll be remembered forever for that. So, do you have anything else you want to add about it? I think we covered most of
And
his stuff, though. I mean, like,
yeah,
unfortunately, his career was really short, but we were able to talk about it for a while there because just what he did
so
was
much happened.
it was a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, there's one thing I want to say. I mean, I don't want people listening to take this in like a negative way. But like all that hate that he gets nowadays, like I mean, there's obviously more support than hate, but
Yeah.
it's like those jokes that people make. It's like, oh, you listen to Juice WRLD, oh, like you're a 12-year-old Fortnite kid. You know that association that goes on?
Yeah, that definitely
That
exists.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how that came about, but it just kind of like hurts to see sometimes.
Yeah.
Because even those people who make those jokes, I'll bet you that they listen to Juice or have listened to Juice and enjoyed his music. It's just that there's like sort of this like association with little kids and being immature, like with Juice World, and there's such like a bad name on his fan base, and that's just a lot of times like people do take it too far. You know, a lot of fan bases do like, and it's like it just becomes toxic. But I just hate how there's just like a stain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
I think, yeah, to add some input to that, like something that maybe is like a psychological effect, like a lot of people were listening to him when they were younger, so maybe they just imagine themselves in that time period listening to him, and that's why that mental association is there with his music. But I don't think, like, he never did anything negative while he was alive, so I don't know why it's like a
Right.
negative connotation towards him, but
Yeah.
that is unfortunate. I think, yeah, his fan base has become somewhat toxic at times, but it's not to a degree that I think he should be ever like talked about like that.
Yeah. And I mean, like, yeah, I guess like criticize the fan base. I mean, like that's out of my control, but there's really no reason. When I see this happen pretty often, but like they come at him as a person for his fan base. Like, bro, like his fan base, like the core of it is the 999 movement, and
Right.
it's a completely positive, like supportive thing. It's just I don't know what happens when these toxic people come around, or like, and they just bring a bad name to him, which that just like really pisses me off. But overall, I don't know. It's like as a community, everyone's like really supportive, and everyone just celebrates his life, celebrates his music, which in the end, that's what matters, and that's what people should focus on. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I feel like it's a thing that happens. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's part of it. You know, you get bigger than music sometimes when you get that popular. So
Hmm.
there's going to be negativity around his name, unfortunately. But yeah, rest in peace, Juice. Like, he'll be remembered forever. And I think he left a really important impact.
Right. I owe him a lot, and I'll never forget what he did for me.
Yeah, it's
And
important not
I
to,
hope
you know, just keep listening to his music because it's not going away.
never will, never will. And yeah, I'm just glad that we can just celebrate him. You know,
Yeah,
just
definitely.
talk about him like this in a positive way, and just celebrate everything that he's done.
For
And I
sure.
think that's what we should be doing instead of being hung like instead of focusing on the bad stuff. And I think that's what we did here today. I think we had a really good conversation just speaking about what we like about him, just everything that he's done for us and all our good memories. So I think we both shared some stories about that were associated with his music, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And if you guys are listening, like, let us know, like, on Twitter, like, what your some favorite memories with Juice WRLD is. If you want, share it with us. We're happy to hear it. I think it's always great to hear stories like that. So yeah, let us know. And
Yep.
hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Um, and yeah, check out our Twitter. We're gonna see what we want to do for the next episode. Hope you guys can add some input or ideas. But hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next one.
All right. Peace out.